Hi, I'm Senior Grandmaster Jimenez from Kajukenbo Live, coming from South Lake Tahoe, California. I got a special guest today. I got Senior Grandmaster Robert New from Hawaii, one of the top Grandmasters in Hawaii, and we're lucky to have him on this interview today. So, Senior Grandmaster, you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for being part of our show today. How's Hawaii?
Hawaii is awesome. Right now it's nice and sunny, a little breeze, but like paradise is paradise, you know. So.
Oh yeah.
It's nice. It's quite nice out here today. So.
Yeah, I love going to Hawaii. I just can't wait. Especially all the times you took us around the island, show us all the stuff, and ate and everything.
Yeah.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's good. So, tell me, how old were you when you started martial arts, and kind of what style did you take?
Well, I started off when I was a youngster. My father was teaching me some kung fu and as well as boxing. And I was a military dependent at that time, so I probably was around 6 when I first started. And
nice.
Throughout my father's military career, I met some of his close friends who taught me Kyokushinkai and Shorei-Ryu-Kenpo.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as I got older, I met Sensei Tommy Morita, who was who taught me originally the Kajukenbo, but back then it was Kenpo Karate. So I was one of very few students at the time. He was teaching Kenpo Karate, and the rest he was teaching what they call Matsubayashi Ryu, which is an Okinawan style under Sensei. Let's see what the Sensei's name was. Shoji Nakamine. So during that time period, I've learned a lot from different styles, and you know, as I was growing up, and at the same time, I also learned from a number of other instructors in Hawaii, and I was lucky to learn from them. And one of the instructors that I learned from was Herbert Luke. And you know Herbert,
Herbert.
You used to train under him before yourself.
Yeah.
So Herbert Luke was teaching the Black Tiger, which is the Hoku Gung Fu.
Yep.
And then also, I was also studying under Buksam Kong, the white crane. I mean the tiger crane, the Hungar Kung Fu system. And then as my son started training, I also trained with him, learning the Lumpa Ga, which is a Shaolin Buddha style of Kung Fu under Sifu Art Li. Yeah. So, you know, all these different systems and styles. And here's a good one, because I learned from my brother, who was my student, Russian Sambo.
Oh, yeah.
I trained at him for many years, so it's like the switch of teacher to student, student to teacher. So
yeah.
And lastly, Wanapundo, I trained with Sifu Aldakostas for several years.
That's great.
So those guys I had a lot of influence with as teachers, and then also when I met people like Senior Grandmaster Al Delacruz, who's my present teacher today, and co-founder Frank Ordonez, Sergio Emperado, Henry Mendek, he's a Senior Grandmaster, Professor Curtis Ryan, Senior Grandmaster Sixto Ramos, and a bunch of other instructors that influenced my martial art career. So
there's some pretty good top names there.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of good names. Yeah, that's when I first met you. We were at the cemetery at see Joe's when he put down his little plaque thing, And you kind of caught me off guard because when you said Herbert Luke, I was like, oh my God, who in the hell remembers? Because I was only like a little kid, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, it's just a small world. It kind of just caught me off guard on that one, you know. When you mentioned
Herbert
Luke
was very. I used to work for him as a cashier at Foodland, and he was the assistant manager. So how I got to know of him was when we had a couple that came in, and they were con artists.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was they got caught by one of the cashiers, and the guy was out of control. You know, he picked up a grocery cart, and I was like, oh man, I gotta stop this because you know I'm the only guy as a cashier, and the rest are women.
Oh wow!
So I got up in front of the guy, and then Herbert came, pulled me back, and so the guy put the cart down, and the guy didn't, and he put the cart on the guy.
Oh wow!
So, and I was looking at him, and I said, wow, this guy's pretty cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat, we talked, and then that's how I found out he was teaching the Black Tiger Kung Fu. So we used to train before work and train after work in the warehouse. So
yeah.
That was 3 classes for me.
I remember when I first met him ever, I was only a little kid and he was bigger than life. He came walking in, I'm all, oh my God, that's, you know, Herbert Luke, you know, Seafood Herbert Luke, or whatever he called himself back then. So let me ask you this, how was the training in Hawaii compared to like the mainland training?
Well, I think there's no difference. It depends on the teachers and how their training curriculums are. In Hawaii, we have a lot of talented martial artists, and it's no different than anywhere else. So trying to compare between the mainland and Hawaii, there's no difference in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more disciplined here because we expect the students to learn their basics and from there expand their knowledge, not just focusing on just learning techniques and forms and so forth, but to take those things that they learn and be creative. And because everybody's different, height, weight, size.
Sure.
People may do something that other students can't do, vice versa. So, there's no difference.
So you feel? So is there any? Are you never too old to learn martial arts?
Oh, what's that again?
Are you ever too old to learn martial arts, in your opinion?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I got a 75-year-old guy I'm going to teach this afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's never too late, no matter what anybody says. Because how you teach that person's needs depends on the person's physical abilities.
Yeah.
So, it's important that people don't discriminate based on people's age or their gender or if they're disabled or not disabled. It's learning martial arts. You can start at any age.
Yeah, I had a student. He was 82. He just did private lessons. He didn't do class. But it was funny because he was a Filipino man, and he worked at it was called Piper's, a smorgasbord in San Leandro. And he was funny because he'd always bring me a cooked chicken, a whole chicken. He'd just come in, and he didn't talk too much. He just kind of smiled and kind of giggled, and he nodded his head, and he hands me the chicken, and I'm all, oh, thanks. So, just me and him went in there for, about 45 minutes. I used to work with him like twice a week for a long time. He was there for almost, I don't know, probably 8 months, and then he just kind of disappeared a little bit. But yeah, it's never too old. What about, Go on.
We have, in Hawaii, we have 2 senior grandmasters, actually 3, but mainly 2 that's really active, and that's Sifu De La Cruz and Sifu Aldecostas, because they're both 79.
Yeah.
And they look as if they're still in their 20s training. So.
Yeah. They don't look 79.
Late,
Wow. What about the preschool kids that are learning martial arts?
preschool kids, I have different categories. It's never too late for at any age. But you have to understand that when you have kids that are preschoolers, their attention span is so short.
Yeah.
So you have, and also teaching kids at that age, not every instructor has the creativity or the ability to teach or the patience to teach. So what happens is, if you don't have that, you need to have someone who knows how to, because it's more like entertaining the kids, because the kids like a little action. They like watching the martial art movies and they jumping all over the place. So yeah, preschoolers, you can teach them the basics, the same thing, but then you have to be creative in their attention span.
Kind of make it kind of fun for them.
Right.
Yeah, I usually start them in around, I just talked about this at the last podcast I did. You start them in around 5. That's my lowest. I've taken them at 3.5, but usually 5. Like you said, you have to keep their mind, like entertained and stuff. You can't show them certain things that you can show the other people, the older kids. So you have to work with these kids different. Every student's a different person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what about the uniform? I mean, like some martial arts studios, they'll come in with a pair of t-shirts and a sweats. We don't do that. But what do you feel about they're wearing a uniform?
Well, uniforms as a whole shows respect, especially when we talk Kajukenbo, there's respect to our founders and to the Grandmasters and professors, the seniors of the schools.
Yes.
And it also depends on what style you're teaching. Kenpo is very famous for their uniforms, and I believe, in my personal opinion, they should wear their uniforms.
Of course.
But when you get into kung fu, they're known to wear t-shirts and kung fu bands.
Yeah.
So.
But they all look the same, though.
Basically, that's like their uniform. So unless they're in competition, then they put on their Chinese wear, but the Chinese wear that they use for competition, you don't want to train in that because it sticks to the body.
Yeah.
Whereas with your gi, at least when you sweat in it, it cools you down.
Yeah.
So I believe in the uniform.
Oh, I do too.
And it also depends on the weather too, because if you're in a state that has a lot of heat, like Nevada.
Yeah.
I was living in Las Vegas, so over there the temperature gets so hot that if you're training outdoors, well, you want to peel that top off because it doesn't matter how much you sweat, it dries up.
Oh yeah.
And then you dehydrate yourself.
Sure.
So.
What I used to do with my students is mandatory. When we started class and ended class, they had their uniform top on, and like you said, if it was really hot, as long as they had their school T-shirt on during their class, sometimes I let them take the top off, and just have their T-shirt. But when we end and start class, that uniform's on.
Oh yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And that's part of discipline.
Of course.
In the system itself, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you feel about like a junior black belt? Is it like a real black belt, or what do you think?
That's a big question. That there's no true answer to it. It all depends on the instructor. And from my perspective, I don't believe anyone under the age of 18, although I got my black belt before 18.
Yeah.
I don't believe they should have a black belt because there's a lot of maturity, a lot of responsibility that goes with that belt. Although the junior black belts and the adult black belts, they train the same.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably put a white stripe down the middle of their black belt, or change their belt to just a plain red belt or something, as they're maturing. But yeah, it's not a yes or no. It all depends on the school, the instructor, the studio. Because some studios, they need to make money, so not
Yeah, I
belly
know
belts,
that is.
but they prolong the belts, basically.
Yeah, I had one junior black belt. Gaylord, when he had a student in Fremont, he had a junior black belt, Michael Smith. He used to go to tournaments. And that was Gaylord's junior black belt. And then I had, and then I did have a junior black belt. But to this day, he's still with me. And, you know, he's Grandmaster Baka, and he's been with me for over 50 years. And he started me with me when he was around 7. And well, he's a junior black belt, and I got a lot of crap from, I won't mention the studio, but different Kajukenbo studios at that time that was under Gaylord. You know, and then, you know, they gave me crap about it, you know, but then he turned around and beat their student every tournament. He beat every one of their students. And then you wind up just growing into that rank. And from junior division all the way up to the men's black belt division, he took grand champion. You know, so, you know, it kind of like backfired on them. Because I just wouldn't give any kid a black belt because the parents pay more or whatever. You know, they have to be there for a long time.
Yeah, and you know, it's part of their training. And it's the training, the loyalty to the teacher. That's what pushes them forward. That's probably why it backfires on everybody else, because then you have a loyal student that stayed with you from a long time back. So
sure.
That's a plus for you. So, I mean, I have a student, his name is Michael Rye. He's been my student since the 70s, or the early 70s. Mm-hmm. He's not training anymore, but he keeps in touch with me all the time. So, and because, you know, their things change and their interests change and so forth, but as a student, he still keeps in touch with me, you know, after all these years from the 70s.
Yeah, I got several students that same thing back then. They're, you know, still with me. Like Alex Shepard, Sifu Shepard. He talks to me every day online. Sigon Wright he's in Florida now. So then, you know, they're different areas, but yet they still talk to me every day and keep in contact, and we go back and forth and do things with the martial arts and stuff. You know.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, that's good.
So do you think you have to pay a lot of money to get a good instructor, or you think, what's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion on that is it depends. You know, like everybody's going to go shopping for martial arts studios and schools. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some schools, they might charge $49 a month. And then the other schools may be charging $200 something a month. Sure. And then you may have a school that charges $300 something a month. So basically, I would think that, and on my, you know, this is my own opinion, that you know, you got to look at these schools. You know, you got to find out what their goals and their structuring and because a $49 school may be an instructor that's not trained to be a good instructor. Sure. You know, he's just trying to get his feet wet out there. And then you may have the $200 schools that have good instructors and not so good instructors. Yeah. And, you know, so it depends on the goals of the student, what he or she is looking for. Yeah. Or what the parents are looking for if there's children involved. Sure. The $300 school might be the best school. You know, you may have the best instructor and meets your goals, but it may be too expensive for you. Yeah. But it's no problem in visiting a school, and then if it's something that you like, and even though you can't afford it, you can always work it out with the instructors. Sure. Same with the $200 schools, or I don't know about $49 school, because I'd be a little skeptical about that. Well, but, you know, and who knows? The $49 school might be the best instructor. Well, back in my day, people would come in, and I was a little high. Well, I wasn't the highest, but I was kind of like up there, but I wasn't the highest. And if they couldn't afford it, I sent them down to where is the studio down the street. And at that time, I think he was charging like $25 a month. And I tell them, I said, they're teaching the same thing, Kajukenbo and everything. And they'd, oh, okay, thank you, we'll go check it out. And within half an hour, they come back, oh, we want to sign up here. You know, so. That's true. Yeah, I always just, you know, I never
ever, try to like make someone stay. I always give them an option. I felt that way. If they want to come back, then they really want to come back.
Well, that's true. And giving them options and asking and sharing with them that they should go out and into the community and see what's going to benefit their child or even themselves. A lot of times they come back because you gave them the opportunity to go do their own search.
Sure. So, what kind of martial arts style do you feel is probably the best or the most effective? Let's say the most effective. I don't want to say the best. Let's say the most effective.
Most effective? Well,
I already know my opinion, but
my perspective on that is it's not the art that makes the student; it's the student that makes the art.
Yeah.
It's what he or she puts into it that makes that art better. You don't want to go out and degrade any of the other arts.
Never.
That's a no-no for one reason. If you degrade other people and they hear about it, then they'll come back to you and do the same thing. So it's easier to get along with the people in your martial art community because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of potential students that can come walking through your front door.
Sure.
So the more you're humble and respectful to the other schools, your school should fill up.
Sure, yeah. I've always had that thing is that when people come in and to ask about lessons and stuff, and as soon as they start saying, well, what do you think about that school? What do you think about this school? My answer was, I don't know. I don't take karate from them. I go, I can't. They expect you to talk bad, and I won't do that. Or if I know the person, like Palins was in San Leandro, Juarez was in San Leandro, I would tell them, oh, they're great schools. They're great schools. And they just kind of look at me kind of like in shock, like I was gonna slam them or something, and I would never do that because they were good studios. So why would I do that? I send them on there over there.
You don't want to do that.
No.
So you want to be that humble school that is not afraid to send them elsewhere. So that they can shop around for the right school for them. So
here's a question for you. If you could change one thing in the martial arts, what would it be?
Politics. As you know, politics is what ruins an art. So I'm not a person for politics.
Yeah.
And I let students know. I also let instructors that visit, the schools, that hey, well, you're visiting. There's no politics here.
Yeah.
Politics is left at the door.
Sure.
Students come here to learn, not to listen to stories about someone else and so forth.
Yeah.
So I would try to get rid of politics, but as you know, it's one of the most difficult things to get rid of. So because not everybody will agree with you.
Oh yeah.
That's my take on it.
Well, yeah, and then plus also too, anytime you're on the top or you're a main guy, you know how people are. They want to pick at you and knock you off that pedestal.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of silly, instead of just hopping up there with you, they gotta try to knock you down. So usually when people do that, it's kind of like it makes me look more down at them than anything when people try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you. How do the Grandmasters compare today comparing to in the past?
Wow. Let's see. How would I compare? I think back in the old days, for Kajukenbo, they were called professors, not grandmasters.
Yeah.
So back those days were rugged days. They train you really rough and tough, and those are the things. How you train back in those days is you can't train today without being sued.
Yeah, exactly. So I just said that two interviews ago. I said the same thing.
Right. So it's more difficult for a grandmaster today to teach than it was in the past. because in the past you can get away with it.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
you learn how to fight, and you learn how to defend yourself, and you know, you weren't too worried about who you fought against. You know, you won or you lost, and
Sure.
and so be it. And you know, and as you know, if you lost, eventually you guys become friends anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, people that hasn't been there, they don't realize how crazy it was. You know, I mean, like you said, I took gun fu with Herbert Luke, but we didn't really do a lot of sparring. We did a lot of working the hands and a lot of forms. And then when I went to Senior Grandmaster Vargas' studio in Kajukenbo, which I really wanted to do Kajukenbo, I want to go to the whole story, but I made the mistake of wearing my kung fu uniform to class. When did I get my ass kicked that night? I got the crap beat out of me. My eye, my rib, my lip was all puffed up. You know, I'm thinking, oh my God. Next day, I'm all, Mom, we gotta buy me a uniform. They're kicking my ass. You know, I didn't realize. I walked in and everybody's smiling at me. So I'm thinking, wow, this is a nice studio. Everybody's really friendly over here. Until the end of the night, after I get my ass kicked, then I realized that I was just like the lamb walking into the lion's den.
That's right.
You know, I mean, you know how Kajukenbo is. I mean, you know how that is in the day. They don't hold nothing back.
Oh yeah, nothing held back in those days. You know, same thing when I was in the Far East. I spent 6 years in the Far East. So I trained with multiple different martial artists from all over, and since I was in the military at that time, we created a military martial art team to travel the Far East.
Yeah.
But we didn't let our you know, our bosses, who, you know, our military officers, and we didn't tell them what kind of events we're involved with.
Yeah.
You know, because they knew we were fighting full contact, then they would not have supported it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we went out and we called the team Kajukenbo team because I was learning from a technical sergeant.
Yeah.
Who was you know, Herman Widemeyer's, you know, Grandmaster Herman Widemeyer's student, and he taught me a lot too. So we entered the full contact throughout Asia, and we took most of all the events full contact. Wow. And that's no cuffs, it's bare fists, you know, no protective gear.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
I remember those days when you didn't wear
how it was back in those days. So you know, it's real difficult to do those things today. So
you couldn't do those days. You'd be sued.
Yeah, it was something that we did that we enjoyed doing. So.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't pop somebody in the mouth. You know, in this day that parents will pull the kid out and like, oh, I'm gonna kick him home with the fat lip. Yeah, well, he didn't block. You know.
Well, a lot of guys came back with black eyes, so you know. So.
Well, Senior Grandmaster Vargas was funny back then because I was just I don't know if I can brag because I'm not really, but it's gonna sound like it. But when I was a green belt, I mean, I was extra really good, and usually the black belts couldn't beat me as a green belt. So what he would do, and anytime people come from other studios that were black belts and they just want to come and spar or visit, he'd always go, okay, I'll have you spar one of my green belts first before you spar my black belts. Of course, I'd go in there, I'd beat the hell out of them, and then he'd turn to them and go, now, do you want to spar my brown and black belts? And they're, oh, no way, that's a green belt. but I just knew it was coming. As soon as I knew people coming that night, to just to work out in the class, you know, from different studios, I go, oh God, here it comes, you know, and I'd hear it. Tony, get your sparring stuff on. Okay, you know, he'd always do that to me. But back then, that's the way it was. We just banged, you know. I'm just.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, those were the fun days, you know. So
it was fun back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm paying for it. I can't walk, but I mean, I'm paying for it now. You know, barely.
Well, yeah, we pay for it in the end when we get older. So.
Yeah, we do. You know, when I was younger, I was thinking I was gonna be invincible. You know, and then I was thinking, oh, I'll never be like that. You know, some of the guys I see in the tournaments, they can barely walk or barely sit down. You know, well, like now I got there. You know, but hopefully I'll get it fixed. Well, my last question I may ask for you, what do you see yourself in 10 years from now doing to the martial arts?
Probably still teaching.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. It's hard to get away from teaching and doing seminars. But I think I put a hole in seminars for a couple of years because with the pandemic, it's not helping because a lot of my seminars are international. So
yeah, I know you're all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to go to South Africa. So right now it's not a place to go. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't have to wait a couple more years.
Yeah, the lady from Nepal, she our person's under us. She's like, oh, you gonna come? She just year and a half, every day. I said I can't come until everything's clear. I won't travel that far with this going on. You know, I just can't do it, even if it's closer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not worth it, and you know, you got, and not everybody's going to be taking the shot. You know, the vaccine.
I got my shot. I got my shot.
Yeah, I got mine too.
Yeah, I just can't take the chance of getting sick, you know. But, you know, I mean, so we'll see how it goes. Well, I appreciate you coming on Kajukenbo Live and being part of our show today.
Oh, great! You know, I appreciate you having me. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to come to Hawaii and hang out with you again like we always do, and you can take me to go by that. What's that snow cone place over there in North Shore?
Oh,
Matsumoto's, yeah. I still got that picture of me, you, and Senior Grandmaster Vargas. We had our ice cream in our hands. You know, I still got that.
Yeah, that was a good day, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
humid and hot, and the shave ice came in handy.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you again. I'm Senior Grandmaster Jimenez from Kajukenbo Live, coming from South Lake Tahoe, California. We have a special guest today, Senior Grandmaster Robert New from Hawaii, and I really thank him, and looking forward to our next interview. And please hit subscribe on the button when you see it. Just go to Kajukenbo Live. Thank you.